Excellent. Okay, so welcome to our Monday Mindset with your girl Nikki Sutherland. We are here each and every Monday as we pour into our minds to give ourselves that chance to have an amazing week ahead. And it's Focus and Fly February. It is February the 12th today. And so we're going to be talking about focus whilst mastering ourselves. Because in order for you to master a goal and to really focus on what it is that you want to get to, you have to be able to focus and master yourself first. And it's very important. And I heard these 5 tips. These are not coming from me. These are coming from a serial entrepreneur in the name of a Mexican gentleman in the name of Mr. Ivan Tapia. And I heard him say it yesterday. And so I had to come and reiterate these 5 steps of mastering yourself, because I think if you missed it with Ivan, if you wasn't able to get on that session with him yesterday, I feel like it's important that you know those 5 steps, because those 5 steps we can use as a foundation to then go on to mastering the one thing that we want to get done in the month of February. All right. So the first step that we have out of these 5 steps of mastering yourself is mastering your emotions. And we have done a lot of work on this over the years about emotions and how, we really have to get a grip of these emotions. Now, some people say emotions aren't good, and I will disagree. It's completely human to have emotions. It's completely human to have feelings, okay? Because if you don't have feelings, you'll be seen as heartless or cold or, somebody who's not human. And that would be crazy to hope that we don't have feelings. But what I would say is how do you use your emotions? Do you use your emotions to propel you forward, or do you use your emotions to hold you back, right? And this is something that I want us all to, to consider when it comes to the one thing. And when it comes to mastering the emotion, how currently, and I want you guys to type into the chat box for me, what times would you think that you get emotional? At what points in your life? And, there's different levels of emotion. So let's talk about the different levels of emotions. You have, type in the chat for me. You have anger. You have fear. You have excitement, grief. What other emotions can you have? You have anxiety, around every same time of the month, sadness, worry, all right? Joy is an emotion, right? It's funny how we always put the negative one, stress, disappointment. But what about the positive ones? Right? Happiness, you could be expectant is an emotion. Right? If you're waiting for a letter to come through the door, that's a very good letter. You can have a winning emotion, a joyful emotion, excitement, love. There we go. Right? And isn't it interesting when I mention emotion, we always lean to the negative side of emotion. Hyped. I love that one. Right? Accomplished, surprised, warmth, new beginnings. So many different emotions we can have. And depending on the situation, depending on what is happening around us, some people's emotions are different. Now, the question then is where do your emotions change? During what times of your life, during what life experiences, or during what times of the day? Are you more joyful in the morning compared to the evening when you're tired? What triggers a change in your emotions? What triggers a change in your emotions? What are the deciding factors of your emotions? Because if the deciding factors of your emotions are external to yourself, What that means is that you are controlled by external factors, which then takes it out of your own power. And remember, we did that whole book on power, you know, the blue book. We looked at Mastering Our Power. Who remembers that book? That was from October or August last year. We talked about our power. And so how do you manage your emotions, and what are the deciding factors of your emotions? Well, check this out, guys. And I'm seeing in the chat box, some of you say when you're hungry, oh, listen, when I'm hungry, everyone knows in this house, hell breaks loose. I'm angry. A hungry girl is an angry girl, right? Tiredness. When you're extra tired, oh my gosh, it could really mess with your emotions. Menopause can mess with your emotions. Some people say morning person. Tired, fatigue is definitely one that can mess with your emotions. But here's the thing. Overworked. I hear you. Now, if those things, okay, so what if, for example, you're on the way home, you've already planned it in your mind that as soon as you get home, you're going to eat because you haven't eaten all day, and you get stuck in traffic. There is an accident, and you're stuck. You can't go back. You're on the motorway. You can't go back. You can't go forward, and you were stuck there for 2 to 3 hours. Okay. Anita says hot weather. I hear you, right? Hot weather can make you feel very groggy. All right. Does that situation then get your emotions to shift? Do you start to get impatient? Do you start to feel frustrated, annoyed? Would that situation then change your mindset? And I tell you this, 90% of people will get angry in that situation, as if there's anything they can do about it, as if that situation is a personal attack to them, not thinking that someone could have died up there and there's some family members grieving, wishing that they were the ones sitting in the traffic jam waiting to get through. And it's about perspective. It's about thinking about, well, what can I do right now that's going to affect my emotions, that's going to make me feel like I am in control? Because when you feel like you're out of control, you give you give a license to negative emotions coming your way. And one thing I've learned is 2 emotions that surpass all: love and gratitude. And anytime you're in a situation where you feel like you could be out of control, where you feel like things are not going the way that you want, where you feel like your emotions could be tested, it is all about saying to yourself, do you know what? I'm so grateful because this could have been worse. Think about the situation that frustrates you the most. And I want you to think now, how could it be 10 times worse? And then be grateful that it's not where it is, where you just said it could be 10 times worse. So imagine this. You're in the car. You're frustrated because you should have been home ages ago. You're hungry. You're tired. And this traffic jam has held you hostage for 2 hours and you're unable to move. Now, you could pick up the phone and you could ring your spouse, your sister, your cousin, your parent, and you can have the worst conversation ever to make yourself feel even more worse. Can you believe I'm still stuck here? This is a crazy traffic jam. I don't know what's going on in England. The roads are closed. I can't get home. How many of you stress your own self out even more by highlighting an issue and you mess up your own emotions? As opposed to you sitting there saying, okay, let me see if I can put some gospel music on. Let me see if I can, let me see if I can use this time to catch up on anyone I haven't spoken to for a long time. Hey, cousin, we ain't caught up for a while. And I thought, whilst I'm sitting there in this traffic jam, let me catch up with you and see how you're doing. Like, hey, what's good? In that time, you may be able to achieve some things that you wouldn't necessarily have been able to achieve. And now you're busting jokes with a cousin you haven't spoken to for a hot minute. Now you're in, a whole different mindset to where you were before. Okay, let's take another bad situation. Someone type in the chat a really bad situation. And I tell you this, no matter how bad the situation is, do we know, guys, that it could always be worse? Put yes in the chat if you know that no matter what situation you are going through, and this is me being 100% empathetic at the same time. Do you know no matter what you're going through, it could be 10 times worse? Like this is why every time I always talk about gratitude and I talk about just having that moment and just saying what you're grateful for, because believe it or not, no matter how bad things are, and I don't want to get political right now, but there are children across the world dying. There are people that have no food. There are people that have no houses, no shelter. There are people that don't even have, I was sharing this about a deal that myself and my husband had last year. And as we were doing this deal, it kept falling through because of stupid paperwork stuff. And my husband was like, why are you not getting frustrated? And I was just like, listen, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. We ain't gonna get stressed over this. And we were finally got the agreement for the deal, and the guy, I shared this before, I think we needed like 100,000, and it kept going back and forward because of like little typos. And by the time it kept getting back and forward, and my husband was like, oh, you know what, it might not happen, and the guy was like, oh, if you don't do this and that. By the time we finally did it, something else came along for half the price, better. And we were just like, look at that, glory to God. We could have been getting frustrated over something. And then, we sat down and was like, do you know, there are so many people that wish they could get frustrated over £100,000 deals. I remember speaking to my mentor about 3 years ago. And at this point, I think I was earning like 15,000 a month. And I was getting so frustrated because for I think it was for 2 years solid, I couldn't go up. I couldn't get to that 25,000. I wanted to get to 25,000. I had set my goal for 25,000. And I was frustrated. I hit 15,000. And every month I'd close in at 15,000 for 2 years. And I was getting frustrated. I was like, oh God, this goal, 25,000. And I remember calling my mentor and I was just like, oh God, this is so depressing. I can't do this anymore. And he's like, Nikki, hold up. You're getting stressed. You're getting depressed because you can't move from 15,000 to 25,000 a month. Do you know how many people would bite your hand off to be on 15,000 a month? Like, do you know how many people would literally say, Nikki, I exchange? How many people on this call wouldn't mind earning 15,000 a month? How many of you feel like if you were making 15,000 a month, you'd be so stressed? Like you'd be stressed out saying, oh my God, I need 25. This was me three years ago. I'd never met, listen, guys, I'm just being honest. When you get there, the goal has moved. And sometimes we can disassociate so much from reality because we have this goal and, our emotions drive us to this goal. Our emotions drive us. You may say, well, Nikki, 15,000 is a lot of money. It's all perspective. It depends on who it is. If Oprah was earning 15,000 a month, she'd check herself into a mad home. She'd lose it. So it's all perspective, guys. And so you look at your situation and you think, me at 15,000 a month was losing it, guys. I literally had to have a mentorship check. I was saying to my mentor, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel like I need to get a 9-to-5 job. It's not working. I don't know what's happening to me. I can't shift this 15,000 a month. I need to get to 15,000 a month. I need to get to 25,000 a month. I mean, I'm at 15,000, and every month I'm at the end of the, I'm close, and then 15,000 again. And I'm disappointed. And this conversation I'm telling you about, I can laugh about it now, but I was crying, guys. I was crying. I was like, getting 15,000 every month. I'm in 5 to the 25. I know. And I'm having a whole meltdown for it. And you may not understand, you may not get it, but it maybe 15,000 isn't your thing that you're crying about, guys. But when you put it into perspective, there are so many people that were like you're crying that you can't get a new car. Do you know there's some people at the bus stop wishing they had any car, even a banger. They want the banger. And I'm like, boom, I need a new car. I've had my car for 2 years. I'm done with it. I need a new car. Like, hold up. You're getting frustrated over things that is in somebody else's prayers. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have goals. It doesn't mean that we don't have a focus. But what it means is when life happens, we can check our emotions and say to ourselves, there are some people right now that wish they had what it is that I have. There are some people right now, like I remember when my uncle, well, he's my great granduncle, he's my grandma's uncle. And we had this beautiful relationship. I'd go around his house on the weekends, and I was the oldest grandchild, so I was his favorite, obviously. And we would go around on the weekends. He'd send us to the shop to get his newspaper back then. And he was an Arsenal fan, unfortunately. And one of the things he'd do is if we'd ever get in trouble, he had a ring on his finger, actually on his middle finger like this, but it was an Arsenal shield on it. It was a solid gold Arsenal shield ring. And if you were ever in trouble, he'd conk you in the head with it. And it was like his mantra that Uncle Lenny would conk you in the head if you were ever rude with his ring. And we used to be naughty on purpose to get him to chase us, to see if he could attack us with his Arsenal ring. And it was just a thing that we always used to do. And Uncle Lenny had all these stories. Like how these elders, they have these stories. And, I remember when I got my job in the bank, and I remember by this time, he was in a home because he was in his 90s now. And, he was my favorite uncle. I got a tattoo of him on my leg. And I knew him from the moment I was born up until his 90s. And I remember when, they said, he's not going to make it, like he's only got a few weeks to live. And I remember just going to the home like every day because we deliberately made it near our house and just going to see him. So I got this job in the bank, and we went, and we kept going to see him, and I had an induction in the bank, and I was due to start on the Monday. And I remember just saying to my mum, like, I'm at peace. Like, whenever Uncle Lenny does transition, I'm really at peace. Like, he's lived 90 odd years and I've enjoyed him. I have no regrets. I've spent so much time with him. He's taught me so much. And I'm so grateful I've had all this time with him. And but he didn't. He stayed another whole year. Like, you see how the enemy, and we had another year, because they said he only had a couple of weeks. Uncle Lenny was a fighter. And so he had a whole year of, talking, being himself, cracking jokes. And every single time we spent together just felt like a blessing. And when so anyway, I got this job in the bank, and I went away for the weekend, the week, to be trained. And it was during that week when he passed. And I got the phone call from my mum, and I was just like, I'm at peace. Like, I was sad that my favorite uncle had transitioned. But even at my age, I think I was only 18, I was at peace because I was like, I have so much great memories with him. And he has lived a very long life. I'd spoken to some of my friends who never got to meet their grandparents, who never had a chance to have those memories. And I've been to funerals before, and I've seen other family and friends, people die, and it's been very sad. But this was a peaceful one because I was able to really, we had time, and I could enjoy those memories. And so even in that season, you know, what my best friend at the time, her grandma had died early in her 50s. And she was distraught because she felt like she never had enough time. She didn't get to say what she had to say. And it was a complete difference in our processing, because I was so grateful that I had him for that long. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Uncle Lenny was not in my notes. But one of the things I can say is Uncle Lenny was an absolute joker. I think that's probably where I get it from. Like, he was a joker. Like, he came out with things and you were just like, you're not allowed to say that. Like, I think in this day and age, he'd probably get arrested for some of the stuff he said, because he was so not like PC at all. And you know, that season for us was a peaceful one. And I think, looking back to what we're talking about, mastering your emotions, I think it was because myself, my mum, my siblings, we were at a place of gratitude because we knew we had spent as much time with him as we wanted. We didn't have that regret. Whereas there were some people, probably family members, that wish they did spend more time with him, that maybe did have a different regret. And so managing your emotions, even in those times, to say, well, do you know what? This is a season, but I also can appreciate the great times that I had with this person. No one can ever take those times away from me. When Uncle Lenny was in my life, like, I still feel like he's here. Sometimes I say things and I feel like he's coming out of my mouth. And so when it comes to mastering your emotions, another thing that is important is about what's going through your mind and what's going through your ears and what is happening with your eyes, what you're seeing. So your senses have a very big part to play when it comes to your emotions. Because the thoughts in my mind were, I'm so glad I spent as much time with him as I could. My thoughts were, I'm going to enjoy every moment with him. I'm not going to worry about the future. I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen. When it comes to, you know, being in that car example, I used to have road rage like crazy. Now I'm chilled. Now I'm like, okay, I'll get there when I get there. You know, it is what it is, because I know there's so many people right now that don't even have a car. There's so many people right now that don't have legs. Can you imagine if you didn't have legs? You're talking about you can't get somewhere. Some people don't have legs. Some people are in a situation where they can't be as mobile as us. Some people are in a situation where, you know, I was talking about, you know, I look at my kids. Some people don't have kids. Some people can't have kids. Some people don't have spouses. Some people don't. There's so many things that you could say other people wish that they had something that you have. And if you can hold on to that gratitude in the midst of your emotions, in the midst of when you're wanting to break down, you can say, but at least I'm alive. At least my children are alive. At least I have a home, a roof over my head and food in the cupboards. At least, you know, in some countries, they can't even say God, Jesus, Allah. They can't say certain things because they're not allowed to express what they believe. There are some places still where women don't have certain rights. There's some places still where you can't do certain things. Like, we have to get back to being in a space of gratitude as part of ourselves handling our emotions. You know, I see it in trading all the time. I see people like getting frustrated. Oh my God, a broker. I hear the word broker about 10 to 15 times a day. And I'm like, do you know how many people don't even know what a broker is? Do you know how many people? We are so privy and blessed that we even know what a broker is. How many, let's be honest, I didn't even know what a broker was before I started to trade, right? And we're getting frustrated over a broker. Some people haven't even got the knowledge of a broker, right? And it's just that gratitude piece. Like, I can't remember who I was speaking to, and we were going back and forth, and she was just like, Nikki, we're going to get there no matter what. And we did, right? And it's just making sure you don't have the enemies of negativity coming through and seeping through. And it all stems from what comes out of your mouth as well. Remember what we said, guys, and I want you guys to remember this. This is something that I live by, okay? Is what I live by this. And I'm very, 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 very disciplined when it comes to it, right? Tia. Okay, the T stands for your thoughts. Your thoughts. How do you think? Do you think about your thinking? Right? This is about you analyzing your thinking. How do you think when obstacles come your way? When potential things that could stress you out? How do you think? Is your first thing thinking about your fears, thinking about what could go wrong, thinking about all the negativity, worry, stress? Is that the avenue that you go down, or do you go down a place of love and gratitude? This is the only place you should be, right? The only place you should be. Anytime certain thoughts come into your mind, love and gratitude. Love and gratitude. You know, I love people. I love my family. I love what I do. I love my home. I love the access that I have. I love the fact that I've got internet. Do you know we take these things for granted? Internet. Some people don't have internet. So loving who you are, loving what you have, loving, and being grateful for what you have it can switch your emotions so quickly, right? It can switch it so quickly. That's the stem of your emotions, is your thoughts, your thinking, right? Your thinking. We had a conversation the other day, I think it was with Danielle, and she went, oh, I didn't do that because it says, six-figure earners. I said, well, you don't think of yourself as a six-figure earner. You have to think as you want it. You have to think as it is that you want. Because whatever you think, that's your limiting belief right there. So if you think it's going to be a problem, Nikki, we have a problem. If you think it's a problem, it is a problem. Because you thought it as a problem. Anything we think, that's what goes into reality. Because remember, it starts spiritual first and then goes into the physical. So if you think it's a problem, if you think it's an issue, if you think you don't have time, if you think you don't have enough money, if you think you don't have enough skills, if you think you can't do it, if you think you've done it before and failed, so you're going to do it again and fail, guess what's going to happen for you? Guess what's going to happen for you is going to keep repeating itself, because it starts, the root is your thinking. So how do you think? Especially under times where the world will have you to think fear, will have you to think stress, will have you to think worry, will have you to think failure. You know, inside the workplace, one of the things I remember from being in the workplace is that they limit your belief system. They're so good at it. When they give you contracts, they make you think that you can't get any more, even though it's got a price bracket on the contract. They put you in at the lowest possible level and tell you that's where you're starting. We say, well, hey, we need to have a conversation about this. Can we have a conversation? Now you've offered me a job. I've been looking at the contract. I was looking at the scale. This is actually what I would like. But the job will tell you that, they even had us thinking that we had to do overtime without being paid. It was just this unwritten rule that they made us think like that. Our thoughts are going to impact our emotions. And so I really challenge you to, I say this often. You say, Nikki, you keep repeating. I'm repeating because you guys still say the T word left, right, and center. Some of you owe me money, right? I want those pounds. I'm not letting up, right? You're not saying that T word so often with pride as well. Like, you're not thinking about your thinking. Stop speaking lack over yourself, over your children, over your life, over your goals. You really have to get to grips with this, guy. I'm honing in on this because it's something I see every single day. Oh, Nikki, this is too much. Nikki, I can't do this. You know, Nikki, I think this is, you know, this might be too much for me. Nikki, I can't, I'm thinking about, you're thinking too much. You're thinking too much. And you're thinking down a road that's not going to be productive to where it is that you need to go. Nikki, I'm going to delay, you know, I'm going to delay my progress because I need to sit and I need to sit and I need to feel sorry for myself for a bit. No, you don't. You're telling yourself that because that's what your thoughts are reacting from what? Your environment, your senses. Is all about your senses here. All about your senses. So what are you exposing? Your ears, your eyes? What are you speaking? Right? Even smells. Right? Even smells. You'll be surprised if your room stinks, if you're used to going down the local chippy and that's what you're used to eating and you're used to smelling that fried oil, you'll be surprised. You know, there's a difference between the smells of a very nice restaurant and the smells of a kebab shop. You guys know there's a difference in the smell, right? You know this, right? I tell you this, change your emotions and change what you expose your senses to and see if your thoughts don't change how you think. And some of you are going to catch that on the way home. Eyes, ears, mouth, smells, touch. Your senses is what's going to help with your thinking. So who are you listening to? Who are you spending your time with? What do you spend your time doing? What do you spend your time listening to? You know, I joke about it all the time, you know, the whole Keisha Cole situation, but I tell you this, when you listen to certain songs, that's why you're thinking the way you think. You guys don't even realize. I remember I listening to Pure Vibes Cartel one year and I was getting into fights. I couldn't realize why. The one I done to you, all of them don't. And I'm running around like a mad girl. It's the music, y'all. The music was turning me to a mad girl, right? Because I used to love the war thing. And I'm like, why am I loving war? I was watching Movado and Cartel. That was the time. And I'm walking around like, what? Who you listen to, what you put in your ear gate, you got to protect your ear gates, guys. Seriously. You think it doesn't make an impact. It does, Donnie. It really does. Right? It makes an impact. It makes a difference. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, it's just a TV program. Oh, it's just a show. I watched one show last night, guys. I tell you, it impacted me. It did. It impacted me. I ain't going to tell you how, but it definitely impacted me. Poor Anton, put it that way. Right? And I was like, you know what? Not on a school night. That life juice is wild. Yeah. You have to be careful what you watch. You got to be careful what you do. You got to be these things in your ears. I was fine before that film. That film did me, Donnie. It's just like, Nikki, I got things to do tomorrow. Wake up. Right? You gotta be careful. You honestly have to be careful. Now, here's the thing. If it works that way, can't it work the other way? Can't you start? You know, I started to watch. Let me tell you some of the things I started to watch on TV. I started to listen to personal development. Obviously, like I spend a lot of time listening to personal development, sermons, and all of that. But you know, I started to watch like Millionaire Mansions. I started to watch shows like I got the girls to watch it the other day. Oh, what's it called now? It's Selling Tampa. I started to watch these big millionaire houses. And I started to watch Selling Sunset. I started to watch, I was watching these you know, richest Africans And I've started to expose my eyes to this, and I can't go back now. I'm like, oh my God, look at what they're driving. Look at their cars. Look what they're doing. I've exposed, like, whatever you expose yourself to, that's it, young, African, and famous. See it there, right? Whatever you expose yourself to, do you know that this stuff rubs off? So now you know this. Wouldn't you spend less time at the chicken shop with your cousin and them? Will you spend less time watching Corrie and EastEnders and any of the other things that are coming on right now, the tomfoolery stuff? You know, the other day I watched something on Netflix, which I don't normally watch, right? But it was so interesting. I sat and watched all 8 episodes, and it's called Trust. And the title got my attention, and it is about, I think it's about 10 people that are put in a house together, and they all have a share of $250,000 or $500,000 or whatever it is. And all they have to do every week is just vote. Do we share the money or vote someone out? And they're voting anonymous. And it's just so, it's a mind thing. And I started to watch it, and I was like, I like this. I need to really see how people think. So even the things that I watch is all about thoughts. It's like I get deep into it, and I watched it all in one go. I sat there till like 4 a.m. because I'm obsessive like that. I just like to do things to completion. And I sat there and I watched all of it. And I realized that even when you give people the answers, their own thoughts, greed, hate on the other people, it rubs off, and it can take control, because all they all had to do to last to the end is say, look, hey, we're just going to split the money. If they all agreed to split the money, everyone would have went home with a piece of the pie. But as you know, thoughts, the way people think, little whispers started to make them think, oh, that one's a rat, that one's a rat. And before you know it, people are getting voted out. People are going home, and none of them had to go home. Very, very amazing. It's called The Trust or something like that. Powerful. It was 8, I think it was 8 episodes, and I sat there and watched it. But the point is, I no longer watch things that don't, like, I watch things, even the fun things that I watch have competition aspect to it, because I'm always wanting to win things. So someone asked me, well, what else do you watch? You know, I watch game shows, but not like your dead game shows. I might watch Gladiators. I saw Gladiators came back the other day. I watched that. And I'm going to watch things like The Weakest Link. I'm going to where it's going to like challenge me, because I want to be a part of it. What's the other one that comes on where you're against the chase? That's it, right? And so it's like, who you are will prove what you listen to and what you spend time to. You can learn. I take knowledge from everything I do. I don't have downtime where I just feed myself with junk. That doesn't happen, right? And so I'm glad to see some of you say, you do similar things if you are to watch it. I don't watch TV that often. I have TVs in my house that haven't been on for time, right? But when I do, I always am challenging my mind to grow. And I want to put you in that position. Think about why your emotions are the way that they are. I can channel it down to your senses. Every time someone tells me, oh, it's not going great. How you doing? Oh, not great. Could be better. Like all that energy and language, I can pin it down to who they're listening to. Who's pouring into you? No one. I don't have anyone, Nikki. There's no one pouring into me. What are you listening to on a daily basis? Nothing. Okay, that's why you're the way it is, because the world is now training you. You say no one, but it is someone. It's the world. It's what you're exposing yourself to. And if you're exposing yourself to people that are generally doing the same thing and feeling the same thing, there's no wonder you're in that situation. So challenge your thoughts. Think about your thinking and ask yourself, who am I listening to? Who am I spending time with? What environments am I intentionally getting myself into? Right? Oh, Nikki, I just stay at home. I don't go anywhere. Okay, that's why you feel isolated. That's why you don't have friends. That's why you say you can't find a spouse, because you're sitting at home and you're not going into the environment that's going to help you come out of your situation. Don't sit and be stressed. Don't sit and be depressed. Don't sit and stay in a situation that you're not happy with. You have to fight your thoughts. You've got to fight to control your thoughts. And the only way you do that is love and gratitude. The only way you do that is making sure that you surround your senses with positive energy, positive instructions, positive futuristic talking. Challenge your thinking. Right? You're on this call right now. It should be part of your Monday routine. Every Monday, I'm not missing the mindset call, so I can challenge the way that I think. I can fix up. Even if I did have a little dip towards the end of the week, this call is going to straighten me back out again and say, okay, cool, boom, let's do this. So your thoughts, okay, which are led by your senses, are going to determine your emotions, right? Your thoughts determine your emotions. Right? Now, your emotions can lean towards the negative or the positive on a daily basis. You get to choose. Which one do you choose? Right? Which one do you choose? You can choose positive or you can choose negative. There is no in between. If you say, oh, I'm good, I'm okay, that's negative. I'm all right, negative. You can choose. If I say, how's things? I'm great, I'm fantastic. Life is well. I'm really focused on overcoming a few things that's come up, but life is great. Can you see the difference between how I've said it? Doesn't mean that nothing's happening in life, but I just choose to bring my energy and let my ears hear positivity coming out my mouth. I am so grateful. Life, I'm blessed, highly favored. When people ask you, how are you just like, I'm okay, Could you be actually found guilty of people saying you're so positive all the time? Everyone says to me, Nikki, you're always happy all the time. Could you be guilty of that? Could you be guilty of being a bundle of joy around people all the time? If the courts were summonsing people who are always happy and positive, would you get summoned? Would you be charged guilty? Or are you somebody that can easily slip into negativity because you don't sit in love and gratitude? And someone said to me the other day, they said, Nikki, I'm telling you this, but I don't want no motivation. I don't want to change it. I just want to vent. And I was like, all right. So some people just want to vent. They are happy being unhappy. Some of you are going to catch that on the way home. They are happy to complain, but they're not unhappy enough to do something about it, because doing something about it requires work. It requires a fight. And some people don't want to work or fight. They just want to complain about not having the life that they want. Guys, let me tell you this. I can say this because there was a time where I didn't even have £10 to buy shopping in my home or put gas in my car. I'm not saying this from a place where I had a silver spoon put in my hand, family members that loved me all the time, family members that gave me stuff, great parents. I had the same shizzle that a lot of people are going through. I did, but I chose to live in love and gratitude, and I chose to fill my senses with people and things and environments that's going to lift me up. I chose to listen to somebody who has the results that I desire, and I chose to be positive. I chose to speak life. I chose to speak. Listen, when I was broke, I remember the first time I decided to start my own business. I gathered some people around my house from my church. There's about 15 of them. And I sat them down. I'm broke as a joke. And I sat them down and I said, this time next year, we're all going to be millionaires. Like, I'm speaking some crazy type vision, and they're there. And they're like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're all broken in a joke. But it was the energy. It was the ears. It was the thoughts that affected that emotion. And now the emotion of positivity is going to get you excited. It's going to get you feeling pumped. But if you do the reverse, oh, I don't know, I'm broke. I don't know, I don't have time. I don't know, I'm not too sure. I don't know about this and I don't know about that. And I don't know. Guess what those emotions do? Those emotions are going to impact what? Your actions. Right? If you ever felt so sorry for yourself, you stay in bed all day. Come on, don't play. Because when you feel a certain type of way, it's going to depend on how you move. When you feel stress, when you feel down, when you are worrying, when you are fearful, you don't want to move. Now, don't get it twisted. Some people can lead and bleed. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about majority of people cannot lead and bleed. When they are down, they are not moving. It's like when it's raining outside. You're less, they say when it's raining outside, you're less likely to take action because it gets dark quicker. So most people are doing less in the dark, in the winter. But when it's sunny outside, they're outside, you know, they're dressed up. When you're dressed up, you're more likely to take action because your emotion feels more better. So you're now going to move. Right? You're now going to get excited about your life because you feel that energy is different. Right? How many of you know that you ain't going to turn your camera on when you got your headscarf or your night clothes on, right? But when you got a red lipstick on, I see my girl around just turn on camera looking like a whole snack. Come on, girl. When you have your red lipstick on now and you're looking like a whole snack, you're going to want to turn that camera on because you're like, listen, I ain't getting dressed up for nothing. I'm dressed up for a whole Zoom call, guys, right? So the way that you move, the way that you behave, the way that you have your emotions moving. Oh yeah, the week came on, right? The week came on and it's looking slick as well, girl, right? So how you move, how you think, the emotions and the senses, the things that you allow your senses to be around is going to impact your actions, which then, of course, impact your results. And so if you don't like your results, you got to ask yourself, how am I thinking? What am I exposing my senses to? Because that's probably the reason why you don't have the results that you want, if you don't have the results that you want. You want to think, and if you do have a level of results, but you want more results, then you have to think, even me, guy, I was like, okay, cool. How does someone who earns 100,000 a month, because we're there again, guys, I'm now like 100,000 a month. How does someone think who wants to earn 100,000 a month? What does 100,000 a month person think like? What do they expose their senses to? What are they looking at, listening? Where are they going? What events are they going? You see, if I want to earn 100,000 a month, I got to say to myself, where are the 100,000 a month people hanging out? What events? I was looking at a retreat, you know, for myself to attend, right? And I was looking at this retreat and I clicked it and it was only like 4,000 to attend. I was like, yeah, it's not my retreat. And I found one that was 30,000 to attend. I'm like, okay, cool. That's where I need to hang out. I need to hang out where people invest in themselves at that level, because that's where the 100,000 a monthers are hanging out. You see, 100,000 a monthers think differently to those that are earning 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 3,000 a month, 1,000 a month. And so I don't look just for the cost-effective cheap, because I want to be in the room around the right people. So here's the thing. If your goal is 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, how do you get around a 20,000 a month though? Right? How do you get around a 50,000 a month? Congratulations, you're on this call, right? But what do you do to get that close proximity? Because I realized I had to be in close proximity to people that are earning 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. I want to be around them. So guess what that means? I have to now listen, and I have to make sure I'm spending my time studying them and finding out where they're hanging out so I can be in the same vicinity. That's how you want to be thinking, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just using the goal for money. But what if you want to be married? You're single at the moment. Maybe you want to start hanging around people that can teach you how to become a Proverbs 31 woman. You want to start hanging around married couples. You want to start changing your environment, going out to places where other single people hang out of your caliber. Now, you say you want a man that's personally developed, that has his goals, that maybe earns 6 figures, or maybe he's, progressing. You think you're going to find him at the club at Weddy Wednesdays? No, he's not there. He may be at the gym. Oh, but you don't want to go gym. You don't want to roll at the gym because that costs a level of investment, because you now got to pay and you got to play, because you got to go there and you got to do the work. Because you'd be seen as crazy to go to the gym to work out to find a man now, wouldn't you? But what's crazy in one season is a testimony in another. Or maybe he's at the library. Maybe he's at one of the rebuild events. Maybe he's not hanging out at the chicken shop with your cousin and them. So you have to think to yourself, is he the postman or the Amazon guy that's knocking on your door? No, so you don't need to be spending time at home if you want to be found. See, some of you ain't ready for this because you want it to fall in your lap. Oh, God said he will provide and it will come to me. Well, it's not going to come to you like that. You have to do your own part. You see, your thoughts have already told you you ain't going to get married this year. But how many of you know I was actually reposting? And I've been telling everybody that I met Anton and got married in 7 months. It wasn't. We met in October, November, December, January, February, March, April. We were married within 6 months of meeting each other. We've been married now 7 years in a few months. And so I want to let you guys know this, that anything that you want can happen, but you also have to do your parts. Shift your mind away from saying this isn't possible, I don't know, and shift your mind to say, let me put myself around the people that have the results that I desire. Let me expose my senses to what it is that I want. This stuff works. I am a living testimony sitting here that I was down and out, hated my life, was praying to God that he would just make something happen. Wish that someone would love me because I didn't even love myself. I was down and out, guys. The girl you see today, don't talk about the girl you see today. Let me tell you the girl I was 8 years ago. Rubbish. I hated myself. I hated my life. I felt worthless. I felt like a fraud because I was in the bank teaching and preaching, but inside I felt like nothing. So I'm telling you that if I can do this, you can do it too. And I'm still working on myself. I'm still growing because I told you, if you're not growing, you're dying. So I've got my next level too. But we have to change the way we think. We have to stop thinking from a limited mindset and start thinking from a growth mindset, and not just mindset and keep it in the mind. You got to mind it and work it. So if you think this is what you want, what's the goal that you're focusing on? Back to the book. What are you focusing on to get to this month? And then who are the people that have what you want, and what do they do? How do they behave? What do they listen to? What do they smell like? What kind of smells are they exposing themselves? What are they touching? What are they doing? And how do you communicate some kind of level of duplication? It may not be on the same scale. But how do you start to do little by little? How do you start doing bit by bit, brick by brick? Don't let the whole magnitude of the goal scare you. Do a little bit. So maybe, for example, you say, okay, cool. I know them 6 and 7 figure earners, they be eating lobster and shrimp. But this week I'm going to do shrimp, linguine, right? Like, you could start by doing something little. Don't cook the same things you always cook. Do something different. Change it up. Don't drink. Like last night when I was watching that film, I was drinking some wine as well. I'm gonna tell you guys, it's game over from there, right? I don't need a crowd. I sit there watching my movie, right? And when I looked, I was like, oh my God, this is like a really nice bottle of wine. I don't have certain standards, like the certain standards that we just don't have in this house. Like everything is because we set it that way. I dare you not to go in the shop and look for the cheapest option. Start there. Some of you are looking for cheap up. Nikki's a cost of living crisis. We've got to budget into the... Yeah, I get it. I'm the money mindset mentor, so I talk about budget. But when it comes to your thoughts and your thinking, that it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a level of sacrifice for you to be able to understand that you are worth it. And when you start to experience certain things, here's what happens. Your desire changes. You now want to work that little bit more for it. You now want to put yourself out there a little bit more. You now find yourself networking a bit more. You now find yourself talking to more people. You now find yourself getting surrounded by the right types of people. How many of you are fed up with the type of people that you had growing up? You know, you don't want to talk to the same type of people. You want a new crowd. You want a new tribe. You want a new, you want some people that are going to be, happy to hear you leveling up. Not saying, oh, you're doing that thing, or why are you so excited all the time? You want to be around a crew of people that think similarly, where you don't have to be ashamed of having a big goal, where you don't have to be ashamed of, working so hard and putting yourself forward. So you've got to become attractive to those types of people. If you want those types of people around you, you have to become attractive to those types of people. Would those types of people want to hang around you? And so your emotions, so the first step to mastering yourself is mastering your emotions, right? We don't even have time to go into all 5. This is number 1. This is number 1, guys. The first step is mastering your emotions. And it's so important. We've had to do a whole session on it. Master your emotions, because your emotions are going to be the thing that's going to determine. If you can't master your emotions, you ain't going to be able to do the others. You won't. You got to master your emotions, because here's the thing. Some of you are still caught up by what other people think, what other people say. They affect you. Has somebody called me in tears because of what her mum said? How many of you know that, those closest to you can really rip your heart open sometimes? Like, you're a bad girl in the streets, but when it comes to when mum just needs to sneeze and you start crying. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there. I've been there, but you got to toughen up. You got to realize that mama's life is mama's life. Your life is your life. And unfortunately, some of our mamas need therapy. I'm just going to be real. Unfortunately, there's some issues that happen way before you were born that you can't take on your shoulders. Unfortunately, there's some situations that are way above our pay grade. And so you got to make sure that even in times when it's family, friends, spouse, you still have the root, the core. You have inside of you a strength that cannot be shaken, because you're in a space of love and gratitude. You say, okay, cool. And some of you need to say, no, I'm not answering that phone today. Or when it starts to go left, okay, I hear you. Let me give you a call back. I'll call you back in 5. Command your territory. Protect your thoughts. Protect your thinking. Protect your emotions. Don't worry about what people say. When you master your emotions, you can then master your activities. You can master your skills. You can master being the person that you've been called to be. But if it's dictated on what mama says, what daddy says, what they say at work, I used to speak to one of my friends every day. I talked to her, oh, you won't believe what happened at the office today. I don't care what happened at the office, man. Why do you work there if every day something is happening in your office and you hate your office so much? Remember, back to the thing, she just wants to vent. She doesn't hate the office that much. She just wants to chat about it. If you don't like your life, stop talking about it. Change it. Do something. Oh, Nikki, you make it sound so simple. It really is. You can go online and apply for other jobs. You can start a new business. Like, it really is that simple. You can go to work tomorrow and quit. Nikki, I got bills to pay. You'll figure it out. If you hated it that much, quit your job. Like, I'm being deadly serious. If it's affecting your thoughts so much that you go home, you talk about it, you think about it. On the way to work, you're talking about it. It's destroying you. Quit your job. And see, put yourself in a sink or swim situation and watch how you're going to find something else. I put myself in a sink or swim situation, guys. I tell you, I ain't never sold so many products in my life. I was like, Jesus, I got a mortgage to pay. I didn't think about this. My boss got on my nerves one day telling me about, oh, if you keep sharing the bank secrets, you're going to be on a disciplinary. I was like, you know what? Discipline this. I quit. It's like, what? I'm like, yeah, take this as my notice. There's emotions now. Emotions getting the best of me. I didn't really think it through. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I got holidays. I got maternity. I have sick leave. And now it's time to make some money because otherwise I ain't going to be able to pay my bills. Literally. If you hate your job, quit. I've done it. I don't teach what I haven't done, guys. I've done this. You don't hate your job that much. Otherwise, you would quit. Don't tell me it's because you got salary to get and you got bills to pay. Rubbish. There's other ways to pay your bills. Right? So you put things into perspective. I don't hate it that much. Otherwise, I'd do something about it. So why am I giving air to it? Why am I venting about it? Why am I talking about it? Because talking about it messes up my emotions. Do you know also, and this is only for leaders on the call, like leaders use their enemies to help them grow even faster. Have you ever had someone say, oh, you can't do that? That's impossible. You'll never make more than 4,000 a month if you quit your banking job. You've lost your mind. 20,000 a month later. What do you say now? What do you say now? Not really, right? Sometimes you guys let the negative put you down. You should make the negative drive you. Haters are motivators, yo. They don't demotivate me. I use it as fuel every single time. I just wish someone would say, Nikki, you'll never make $1 million cash in a month. Say it and mean it. I just wish somebody would tell me I won't be successful. I don't know about you guys, but for me, those things just, oh, I mean, when someone told me I couldn't trade, I stayed up all night for 6 months practicing. I was like, you don't even know what you did for me. Thank you. Thank you. God bless the haters. I pray for you. You don't even know what you've done for me, Donnie. Don't compare yourself to anyone, guys. Own your interactions, own your goals, own yourself, and command your thinking so that you can stay focused on what it is that you need to be. You need to be able to focus. And in order to focus, you've got to eliminate the negative thinking and mastering this emotional stuff, especially women. Too emotional. Now read it in your text. It's not even just what comes out your mouth. Nikki, we have a problem. I'm like, no, we don't. You may have a problem, but keep those words away from me, Donnie. I don't have a problem. Do not message me and say, Nikki, we have a problem. We have no problems. We do not have any. I ain't claiming your problems. You keep that over there. Say, Nikki, I have a question. Right? Nikki, quick one. Oh, Nikki, I'm really concerned. Concerned for what? Why do we bring these words, these emotional words to the table? They're not required, not necessary. And it tells me where you are in your thought process. It tells me where you are. Because the minute you put yourself there, it's game over, guys. It's game over. And so majority of you need to get the book. For those of you that have the book, I just want to pull you up real quick before we end this and just give me some top takeaways that you've got so far from the book. I've listed out mine. I'm going to pull mine up in a sec. Who do we have who showed me the book earlier? Let's have a look. All right? Because this is all intertwined. It's all aligned. All right, Danielle, you said you started reading. Who else started reading a book? Marsha? I mean, no surprises.
Evening, queens. Yep, so I started reading, and what stood out for me was the going small and about everyone having the same amount of hours in the day. But people wondering, like, how comes people get more done than others? How comes people can achieve more than others? Like, this is something I get asked as a busy mum, like, how comes you can do this and that? But it's, as you were saying earlier, it's what you choose to focus on, it's what you choose to do, it's what you choose to spend your time doing and putting energy into. So that's something that I have taken away already, from the book, to go small and focus on that one thing at a time.
Yes. Very, very few people can do multiple things at once successfully. Very few. Very few people. And when you're faced with a big goal, it can be overwhelming sometimes where you do nothing. But if you just focus on day by day, I don't know if any of you are following Courtney Logan. He's currently on a weight loss journey, and he started on February 1st.
He's amazing.
He is. He really is. And me and him were talking. Obviously, I was out in Chicago with him last month, and last night or the night before, me and him had a catch up, and I was just like, I'm so proud of you for what you're doing, you know. And I sent him a video of another guy who was similar weight, who'd lost it all. And he was just like, oh my God, this is like literally my story, but I'm 50 pounds heavier than he was. So it's going to be, you know, it's going to be quite amazing when I do my, you know, before and afters. And he's actually, yes, it was yesterday, because he was hosting the Super Bowl at his house. And he goes, he had to go and buy 100 chicken wings. He had to go and do all of this because he's hosting it for everyone that's in his home. And I was like, oh my God, it must be torture. And he was like, no, it's fine, because I've already set my mind on the goal. So I'm not hungry. He's also on a water fast as well. So he's fasting for 7 days, just pure water only. So imagine hosting like one of the biggest events in America, a Super Bowl, at your home with chicken wings and, you know, barbecue sauce and all of the trimmings that he's put on. And he's just like, no, that's the goal. You know, and he's holding himself accountable every day by putting the videos every day, every single day. And you can see his determination to be able to lose that weight. And I solidly believe that he will, because of the accountability that's around him, and that he's publicly declared it as well. And so it's a small thing. He said to me, I'm not focused on 7 days. I'm just focused on today. Like, get through today. That's how he's training his mind. Get through today. Today is the goal. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. And it's just inside the book. Focus on today. What are you going to get done today? You know, I remember speaking with Adina, and we did that live last week. And she was saying, you know, when she was doing the application, and the application for the retreat takes all of, you know, depending on how much you put in there, just is not a lot of questions, could take you half an hour, 20 minutes. But she said, Nikki, it was in my tabs for so many days. And it's just getting myself to actually go in and click that application. And it's like, some things, I don't know about you guys, but I had, that reminds me, I had a parking ticket for the event. We paid for parking. I still got a parking ticket. So I need to appeal it, right? And I've had it there to do since the event. And it's like, it's just something that will take me 5 minutes hasn't happened because of the focus. So now I'm going to put down, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it by tomorrow. I'm going to make sure I do that appeal. And sometimes it's not things that take ages to get done. It's just things that require a level of focus that are quite quick to be able to get done. So, you know, fabulous point, Danielle. Marsha, what was your take on it?
Evening, everyone. On the book, Nikki, there's a couple of things that I've written down. So I know in the Rebuild community, we had some homework and you said to-do list, but in the book, it said your to-do list should actually become your success list. So I've now written down, I've made my so-called to-do list now a success list, which has less points, and I'm doing things that actually make sense why I'm doing it. So that was what stood out for me. Another part was multitasking is a lie. So me working on a day job, I'm supposed to be multitasking. I'm like, you know what, this is a lie. It's a blatant lie. I'm not multitasking. So I'm learning a lot here. And last one, success leaves clues. And that's what stood out for me so far. So following you as our money mindset mentor, you're blatantly leaving clues for us. And I just need to follow the blueprint, and eventually we're going to get there. And definitely, I'm loving the book so far. I'll be reading this on the way to work and on the way home. I think for me, my one thing that I need to focus on is becoming the master at my craft in clothing and being the best fashion entrepreneur out there, not just in the UK, but globally. And this is what this book is really teaching me, that if I keep concentrating on this one thing, everyone on this call and whoever your network is will know who Marsha B is. I am that fashion entrepreneur who's a resilient mother of 6, and I'm going to smash it, people.
Come on.
So that's what I'm taking from this book, Queen Mrs. Nikki Sutherland.
Amazing. Absolutely love it. And those points are so key. So key. Like, you know, multitasking, we think we are multitasking. We think we're good at multitasking. But when your concentration is separated, diluted, you're missing stuff blatantly, right? And it's funny, I did a call on Saturday and people were messaging like, what was the homework again? No? Like, let me tell you something. If I missed the homework, I definitely would not be messaging my mentor, telling my mentor that I weren't paying attention on the call. Like, some people are so not with it that they tell on themselves, right? But if you're not paying attention, it shows. Like, it's clear. Multitasking is, you know, and especially women, we're known for being able to spin so many plates. But, you know, starting 100 things and finishing none isn't commendable. And, you know, too many times I notice people are quitters, and it's because they were multitasking. They were doing a bunch of things at once. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're building, I always say, you know, you have to build the life that you want part-time whilst you're working on, you know, the job that's paying you currently, right? However, when you're doing your part-time business, you're focused on that part-time business. So even if you work 9 to 5, like Marsha does, and you're doing your part-time business, and you say, well, I'm going to give myself an hour a day, give yourself that hour a day. So you're focused on that at that particular time, no distractions. You're not focused on that, but still thinking about the 9 to 5, but you're actually focused on that for that hour. Can you give your goals? Can you give your dream 1 hour a day? If you did that, that's 7 hours a week. That is 28 hours a month, which can, like, compared to most people, you are putting the 1%. You're 1% of the world. If you could focus 1 hour every single day on your goal, aside from what you do already, like, that will definitely push you to where you need to be. And a lot of people cannot do that. Most people can't stay consistent for a week, let alone 90 days. You know how many people are so used to quitting, they don't feel bad. Like, if I quit something, I'd feel terrible. Some people are so accustomed to quitting, they're okay with throwing in the towel. They're okay with starting something and not finishing. But for me, I'm so, like, I went to netball today and it's just training, right? And I'm like, come on down. Get back the ball, yeah. Because my mind is always in winning. I don't care what, like, it doesn't register to me that it's just training or it's what, my mind is just always focused. I have a winning mindset in all areas, and I don't dilute that based on where I'm at. It just is. So, you know, homework, guys, is this. I want you to think about what you're going to do every single day for the rest of this month, right? If you're running a business, you should have a target of sales that you want to make every day. And if you want to make a certain amount of sales every day, then you should be calculating how many calls you need to make in order to make that sale. When I was first coming up, my thing was 1 sale a day. I just wanted to make one. If I can make 1 sale a day, I'll feel good. 1 sale a day. Now, what will 1 sale a day look like? Well, each and every one of us have a different closing rate. So you may have to speak to 5 people or 10 people to make your 1 sale. I may have to speak to 5 people. I may have to speak to 3 people to get my 1 sale, right? You may want to target yourself to be at a networking event once a week, twice a week. right? You may want to target yourself. Like there's so many ways to look at this to say, okay, how do I, don't just say I want to make 1 sale a day, because that's not the action. The action is I've got to make 10 sales calls a day. I got to speak to 10 people for the day. You want to get married and you're saying to yourself, you know, you want to get out there. Well, what's the goal? Get to 1 event a week. 1 new event, 1 new place where you can meet new people per week. That is an actionable goal that you can find a way. So now your antennas are going to see it. So something pops up online and it's an event. You may say, oh, let me just double check. That's a good place to go. As long as it is, boom, I'm going to book myself on. I'm going to go there. Those of you that are a little bit more advanced, you want to pour into your personal development. Where are you going to pour into your personal development? Right? So these are things now that you can't just say it wishy-washy. You've got to ask yourself, what are the exact action that I need to take to get to the goal that I want? What do I actually have to do? So it's easy for me to say, guys, I want to lose a stone in 4 weeks. And when I come off this call, I'm already thinking about the Victoria sponge cake with all the icing and the ice cream that I'm going to eat after. It don't make sense. Make it make sense. So I can say I want to lose the weight, but now what's it going to take? What's the actions? I'm going to take my Crave every single day. I'm going to make sure I only eat out of the small bowl, the small red one, right? So that means I'm controlling my portions. I might say, no meat other than chicken for the, like, I've got to be specific with what I'm doing. Don't just tell yourself this wishy-washy goal without being specific about what you want to achieve. All right. So we've gone a little bit over today, but I hope that helps. We're going to go into the book a little bit more next week as well. Okay. But I want to encourage you this, guys. Find a way to make it happen. Don't make excuses. Find a way to get yourself in rooms. Don't make excuses. Control your thoughts. Understand that your senses, they don't know right from wrong. They'll just take whatever you feed it. And so be aware, and you know, it's called emotional intelligence, by the way. Yeah. Be aware that you get to train your body how to receive information through your senses. And so what you feed your senses will determine your thoughts. And those thoughts are going to determine your emotions. So if your emotions are not in check, ask yourself, what are you feeding your senses? What are you feeding your emotions? What are you feeding your thoughts? And then rechannel it, right? This is the easiest way, guys, to get yourself back, get your mood back to where it needs to be. And that's by controlling your senses. Right? Find the right music to listen to, find the right people to listen to, put the right things in your ears. And I promise you, you're going to see a difference in your results. This is not me that made this up, guys. This is real. It works. It works. Right? So just a few updates to let you guys know. Of course, we have our event on the 24th of this month. 2 weeks from now, we have the event. We have Girl Get Your Money Up. And then we have a session on money in particular, which is our Envision You business. For those of you that want to get involved in real estate, all that kind of stuff, trading, you'll be there for the whole day. So women only from 2 p.m. We have a women's session from 2 to 4:30. And then going on from 4:30 till 6. We have the money side of the event, okay? So it'd be great to see as many of you. If you haven't booked your ticket, I don't know what you're waiting for, the rebuild.co.uk/shop, and you will see the tickets there, okay? So it'll be amazing. I cannot wait to see all of you. Someone asked me the dress code. The dress code is dress as you want to be addressed, okay? Dress like money, dress rich, okay? That's the dress code. Who likes that? I heard someone nodding like
yeah, me.
Yeah. Dress as you want to be addressed. It is a dress up affair. We obviously take pictures and stuff. So make sure you get that done as well. Also as well, we've had an unfortunate situation with the Rebuild retreat for one person. So there is now 1 spot available left for the retreat in May. If you haven't applied, mighty God, you have left it way too late. But there is one spot available. So please do not delay. Take this as your alarm bell to apply for the retreat. There's only one place left, and that is a women's retreat, May 10th till 12th. And then we have our trip to Atlanta. I'm excited about Atlanta. Atlanta is happening May 26th, 24th, 22 through 26th, 28th. I'm going to be out there for the whole week anyway. And it is an incredible event. Thousands of us are traveling all over the world to be at Atlanta. So if you want any more details, then please, please hit me up and I can give you all the details for that. International retreat for six-figure earners and above is also out. The video, I shared it with some of the Rebuild gang on Thursday last week. The video will be dropping, so please have a look at that. It will be in Jamaica, Jamaica. Yes, the next Rebuild retreat will be in Jamaica in November 10th to the 17th. I think it's a whole week in Jamaica. So if you haven't applied, then, you know, the link is in my bio on Instagram, but don't wait until the video comes out in the next, I think I might drop it tomorrow or Wednesday. I don't know, because that's when I know for facts that the applications are going to come in. So yes, that is the announcement for the call today. Let me take my content because I always forget to take mine and you guys jump off and then don't end up tagging me in. But I am Nikki Sutherland is my Instagram. If anybody messages you for money, crypto, Bitcoin, it ain't me, okay? I ain't that girl. Please don't get scammed, don't get got. I will never ask you for money online. With that being said, let me take my content. Give me a wave. Lovely being on with you guys. I see the Queen's wave going on there. Yeah, let's go. Beautiful people. Those of you that want to trade, of course, we're doing the free trading sessions all month. Yes, to expose some of you guys to trading the Forex and cryptocurrency market. So if you do want to trade, we have free sessions happening Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 p.m. UK time. Okay, so it starts from tomorrow. We are already 2 weeks into our boot camp, which has been phenomenal. You need no experience, okay? No experience whatsoever. But we have the boot camp week 2 starting tomorrow. Free. It's absolutely free to be to come onto the session to see if you like it. And then we can take it from there. All right. God bless you guys. Have a phenomenal rest of your evening. I love you lots, and I will see you at the next event. Can't wait to hug you all in person and take selfies and pictures and all that. All right. Be well, and take care. God bless you. Let's go.